This is Walter Whittle from Redmond, Washington.
And Ron Hawk from Fort Bragg, California.
Yeah, and we had a request to provide an interview for in relationship to Laguna Beach's Best Kept Secrets of UCI. And so we're here to just kind of talk about how we got there and anything else that we can think of that comes up.
Were you and I in the same class? Grade level?
I believe so. I was there 68 to 72, although I went one extra quarter and finished in December of 72 instead of June.
I think you were a year ahead of me then, because I started in 69 and 70.
Oh, okay.
I finished high school 69. That's the only way I can remember all that.
Oh, okay.
And add 4 years to that. So I graduated, I got my BA in 74 then.
Oh.
And that so you went up to Fullerton in 74?
Correct. I can't remember exactly. I finished there in December of 74 also, so it would have been about 2 years later. I think there was a gap. I probably started the following September. And would have been 73 and then 74. Finished in 74 there.
Because I then took a year off before I went to graduate school. So 74, that would have been the school year of 74, 75, and then I must have started then graduate school in 75 and finished that then in 78.
Oh, okay.
Except by addition, because I can't remember what year happened when anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of, I guess we were talking just as we were getting the equipment set up. Neither of us, I guess, started as an art major at Irvine. And I was like a physics major, kind of, but then not really, and I didn't have a major. I found out about the darkroom that the art department owned and like signed up for a class or something so that I could use it. And then ended up, they made it majors only the next quarter, and so I switched my...
That's how that happened.
That's how, yeah. So you know, one of the questions is, did you know about the faculty members and so forth, and how did you end up at Irvine? And it was sort of random for me, but it was just so much fun. Once I started taking classes, I finished out as an art major.
That's very similar to my story in that I took a painting class as a part of the breadth requirement. And I was unaffiliated and undeclared for 2 years. I never even declared a major. I don't think they'll let you do that anymore. But I managed to maintain a non-affiliated, non-declared, no major for 2 years, even though I was pretty much committed to the art department by then. That first painting class, by the way, was with Via Salmons.
Oh, yeah.
And the first assignment was to stretch a canvas. Go, buy the stuff, do the woodworking, and stretch the canvas, and then paint a single mixed color uniformly on that canvas. It was all about getting a uniform, even coating of color, not right out of the can or the tube. You had to mix something.
Wow.
That was the assignment.
Wow.
Mine was gray, and I used a roller.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up, I think what was really great, for me at least, in terms of, was kind of the community. I mean, so much stuff was coming together, and it seemed like, for instance, I had a class with Via. I don't think it was the same one because I don't ever recall that particular assignment. But I hadn't actually seen any of her work, and I'd had classes, I guess, probably with Ed Moses by then, and Craig Kaufman, and but she came in, and there was something going on that was sort of a shared kind of aesthetic, maybe, that I had no idea what her work looked like, and I was really surprised because I thought nobody at Irvine did anything that had any relationship to representational stuff. And of course, I was doing photography, which was sort of, but that was okay, I guess, you know, to use photographs or other sorts of things in classes.
Well, I would think that Via would have responded to that because she was doing those super photorealistic, you know, those field paintings, the waves and that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and I think in her class I was doing some funny stuff. I'd gotten some styrofoam from Dow Chemical or something in Torrance and was burning it with a torch and putting plaster on it. It was really terrible stuff. But
as I recall, it risked your health at some point.
yeah, probably so. And Ed Moses told me I better be careful with that stuff. And but anyway, and it didn't look very interesting. I think that's what was kind of something else. It was just sort of like, you know what? I'm going to make you full screen here.
Okay.
I forgot to do that. Somewhere, where's the full screen? This is.
I remember doing those, burning that styrofoam stuff with your torch out on the.
Yeah.
I mean, you're outside the dorm. We were living in the same dorm.
Yeah.
As I recall.
Yeah. And that's something that was a little different about my experience, I guess, than a lot of people. Is I didn't really have a studio. I was working out of the dorms. I managed to maintain a darkroom somewhere by hook or by crook. For a while, I don't remember where it was initially. I remember I was in the back at the graduate gallery for a while. I had one there, and there was a little hallway off of the gallery that had lockers, and that's where Chris Burden did his locker piece.
Right, I remember that.
And then like the door at the end of the hall was this little small darkroom that I was using, and and of course that's after the Fine Arts Village was built. It didn't exist when I started, and I remember it was under construction. I guess
that's a difference in that you're a year ahead of me.
Yeah,
because I never saw the old facility.
I'm not even sure what the old facility was actually. There was a dark room somewhere. I think it was over in like the social sciences building or something, sort of across the road from.
I remember it was out on one of those roads went out into the farmland of Irvine. It was like the maintenance shed or something, and they had a space out there for arts. But again, I never saw it, so I don't know exactly what that was all about.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. So. Yeah, anyway, but I kind of remember when they were building, and the buildings looked so cool because they were raw concrete, and then the contractor came in and painted them this sort of gray uniform, and I thought they kind of messed up the look myself.
Yeah, they spoiled it,
yeah. But anyway, let's see. I have no recollection of my first day on campus, but it had nothing to do with the art department because I didn't start as an art major.
I'm wondering if some of the success of the UCI art department had to do with the fact that it was so brand new and that it was an anything goes kind of situation. We had, the instructors were coming from the art world rather than art academics. All those visiting instructors that we either loved or hated so very, very much. So there was a sense of anything's possible, and maybe that all rubbed off and created some of that sense of energy and exploration that I think worked really, really well.
Absolutely. I think that had a lot to do with it, and like I was saying, my ability to use whatever materials were at hand, for classes, even if it was a painting class, I might not have done anything on a canvas or with paint. I might have used other medium. And
right.
One assignment I did, or I don't know, it's just, you need to do stuff when you're in class. And in one of Ed's classes, I found some scraps. Irvine was growing then, and, constant construction somewhere or another. I found some scraps of carpet. And so I had these like 6-inch, maybe 3-foot rolls of carpet, and laid them down, one for your heels, one for your butt, one for your shoulders, and one for the back of your head, and then had a tape recording of the earth moving equipment just like that with headphones. And so you'd lay down on these pieces of carpet, and I thought what was really amazing, the faculty wasn't like, I'm off being faculty and I'm teaching you guys and we don't talk. Ed Moses laid down, put on the headphones in class. I mean, I'm just a student, I don't know anything. And, but it was new, and you could try anything, and, and it was always an encouraging sort of, I found it a warm, allowing people to take risks environment.
Yes. Well, I think that comes from the fact that the faculty was almost entirely working artists. Tony was a full professor, but he was also working full time as an artist. I mean, there was never a break in his career as an artist. So for Ed Moses to have this, a piece of student work that was interesting, of course he's going to get involved in that. He was involved in the artwork. So I think that was part of that whole mystique, part of what kept it to such high quality.
Yeah. I guess some of the other questions were, how did UC Irvine affect your work and your personality as an artist? I would have to say that just sort of the being a part of a community. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people came together there during this period of time, and I mean, just it was phenomenal. If you look at who was there and what came out of there, it was just sort of like a focal point for the arts. For at least a particular aesthetic.
Hang on one second.
Sure.
I need to turn you up somehow. I think you're always talking to Joe, or I need to go turn off the water that runs. But stand by one.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, the tea kettle was on, and the sound from the computer is so just barely enough that I can barely hear you. So I've got any background noise kind of like, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
So we were discussing the sense of, at least I think we were discussing the sense that we knew we were in something different and wonderful. I had the sense that we were really hot shit, and we knew it, or at least if not us, that we were in this really great environment, and that we were part of something very special.
Exactly. Yeah, there was like an energy which actually, I think, went through like beyond the art department into a lot of stuff. I mean, it was the 60s, and I think there was a lot of excitement and a lot of discovery. I mean, I got my whole worldview changed while at Irvine, from this sort of 50s, early 60s sort of TV, Leave It to Beaver or something type of,
Exactly.
fantasy, and then like what are some of the possibilities, and what's different, and how can you look at things differently, and I just see the world differently.
Yes, I have the same sense, and it happened early on with that first class. Hang on a sec.
Sure.
Linda? I'm sorry, I can't hear. It's so faint that I can't hear when there's any background noise. Sorry. Microwave might work. I'm sorry, Walter.
Oh, not at all. This is part of the technology.
For me, it happened with that first painting class with VSL. It was like, oh my. I had played as an artist. I'd painted and done stuff. I never took art classes in high school, but I was frequently dabbling in. Mostly it was about materials, and it continued on that way. It was playing with the stuff, the paints and the things to see what they could do. And so here it was being encouraged in a college class, and I was just thrilled. I just loved it. And whatever sense of, I also kind of came in as a math science because I did the accelerated math science stuff in high school. So it seemed natural for me to be taking the calculus classes and specializing more in the physical sciences. But it didn't take much at all to change my direction, and to this day I regret that I took the calculus classes instead of the liberal arts sciences. I would have learned some probability and statistics, which I still have virtually no grasp of, so oh well. But I learned calculus enough to know how little I know about calculus.